let's stay in the East, stay in Florida. Let's go to Miami, um, who has a bunch of interesting situations to look through. Um, as it currently stands, this past year, do you want to just sum it up as a weird year with
The Jimmy
with
Butler
the
saga.
Jimmy
Yeah,
Butler saga midseason? Um,
yeah, crazy
for
year.
them, they at least
Definitely
picked
not what
up
they expected. Oh,
for them they at least picked up two Golden State picks in that trade. Or no, they picked up one Golden State pick. I lied. And it's this season. They did not have a pick this season. They are missing their 2020 seven first round pick, but outside of that they hold all of their other um, draft stuff besides their 27 and 25 picks. So they're in decent draft pick situation. Um, if we look at the rest of their roster, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero are still there. Andrew Wiggins is there. Terry Rozier, I think his contract will void because it was a non-guarantee uh, that we didn't talk about. Or no, his 2027 was a non-guarantee that didn't hit. Okay, so Terry Rozier will be there for another 26 million. Duncan Robinson has a player option. Kyle Anderson is still there. Where do we see this roster potentially going?
yeah. They don't. Oh wait, hold on, wait. Okay, yeah. I think you said Duncan Robinson opted out, right? I'm looking at right, or my mute. Oh, no.
He has a player
Um,
option that he will probably opt into.
opt into. Uh, well, man, I don't really think they should retain Duncan Robinson. But a guy I think they need to keep is Davion Mitchell. I think he's a restricted free agent, so they'll be able to match his contract. He came in. He was secretly a part, or not really secretly, but it flew under the radar, the acquisition of him from the Kings, and he came in and made an instant impact. I think he averaged like 10 and 5, and was really good defensively as well. In the stretch near the end of the season and in the playing games, um, I think they just they could add a third option, one to play third to Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo. If they really want to get crazy, they could possibly do a trade. I've seen KD to the Miami trade talks a little bit, um, so that would be interesting. Uh, but yeah, I think a 3 and D wing. I think they need to add a 3 and D wing, and get a guy that can take up the pressure off of Bam and Tyler Hero just a little bit. They didn't really have that. Andrew Wiggins is the guy that kind of wanted that to be. I think they could maybe even get someone uh, that could be playing higher than that, because I think he hasn't really been doing much when he stepped in for the Heat. Maybe a couple good games, but definitely not what you needed when you just gave up Jimmy Butler.
So when I'm thinking about Miami's offseason, um, you're obviously hoping that like, hey, maybe there is a star trade potentially because I think the Kevin Durant trade package will be very not underwhelming, but like less than general consensus on what people think KD's gonna go for, and that could be interesting because I do think they want to do Bam potentially starting with Khalil Ware, with Hero like kind of playing point guard, but like he's the number two option. That's how I would think they want to build out their team. So you can, dream on Kevin Durant, Bam, Wiggins, Khalil. Did I say Khalil Ware? Tyler Hero at point guard, that type of lineup with KD as well. Um, but what I think the reality is, it's like, they're. What if they just end up with Ty Jerome playing point guard for them? Like, I think that's very much a possibility. Or they bring back Davion Mitchell, and he's their like two-way point of attack defender. Sneakily shot 44% from three for Miami last year, after getting traded. So he's going to demand some probably real money. If they're willing to pay it, they should bring him back. If they're not willing to pay it, sign and trade him, get something in return for him. Maybe use him as a salary filler in the Durant trade, to make that a little more easy on you. Other than that, it's a not super flexible situation because the Terry Rozier situation. The Terry Rozier situation does make it to where they have a huge dead salary to throw in a trade. But you can't really do too much in free agency. I don't think that they're necessarily a first apron team, so they'll have mid-level exception and all that stuff. Full mid-level exception, so full 12 million. So they can sign any of the really talented mid-level potential players. We talked about them in the Milwaukee section, but that looks like maybe it's Brooke Lopez or Clint Capella, Bruce Brown, Malcolm Brogdon, Tim Hardaway Jr., Dennis Schroeder, Luke Kennard, Karis LeVert, Steven Adams potentially, Matisse Thybulle, Chris Paul, Al Horford, guys like that, and it could potentially be a decent addition for them. But there's definitely some moves to be made here. Do you think they should push in for this Kevin Durant situation?
I think they should seriously consider it. Yeah, I mean, with the roster right now, they were 7 or 8 seed. What was it?
10.
10. Oh yeah, damn. They were the 10 seed. And they didn't really end the season well after trading away Jimmy Butler. So I mean, why not? Like, what do you have to lose? At least give some sort of direction. I think after last season, they should either set their mind as a rebuild or go all in. Um, because I don't know, especially with the Heat, they're not really one to just kind of be mediocre. They they're gonna make some moves, especially with Pat Riley running the organization.
Yeah, I understand that for sure. I think the Durant thing is like, if it's like 100% super cheap, yeah, go ahead, do it. Like if it's matching salary with Rozier, Hawkes, um, that's about $30 million, and then you have mid-level exception gets you to $42 million. We can probably work with something here. You have to throw in Kyle Anderson, I think, would then make that match. That could potentially be enough for Kevin Durant. If that's about it that you have to give up, then yeah, I would 100% do it. But if you have to really pull at your draft capital, I don't know if I would want to do Durant, because I don't like, how good do we think a Kevin Durant, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo team is in next season?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely get that, but I mean, if you can keep key guys like Kael Ware, uh, yeah, I guess it just has to matter what you give up. Because if you're giving up like Wiggins, Jaime Jaquez, um, Terry Rozier, and maybe a couple picks, that would not be the worst thing. I don't think.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
I think
just
if they try to ask for too much, um, definitely pump the brakes.
and like, even you brought up Wiggins. Like, I feel like if Wiggins is brought up here, like, I don't know if I really am that interested in doing it, because like, then like, I'm very concerned about how top heavy the team would be in that situation. Like, if it's Wiggins, Rozier, and Jaime Jaquez, yeah, pull the trigger. But like, if it's that plus picks, I don't know if I would really want to do that, because then I still don't think the team would be good. I know you're going to have double big plus Durant, so you're going to have size, but like, how much defensive work is Davion Mitchell going to do? How much work is Eric Spoelstra Zoe going to do? I'm concerned about that. And then I'm still not super convinced that that's going to be like a very good offense to where the team's going to be that much better than like a 4 or 5 seed at best for a year. And then Durant gets older in that situation. Maybe I've talked myself into a little bit. If there's no picks involved, yeah, go ahead. Ship off Wiggins. If both Hawkes and Jovic are involved, figure it out. Figure out the rest of the bench in free agency, because in that situation you wouldn't have to use your mid-level exception to match salary, and then you could get a decent wing in free agency. Hopefully, Gary Trent Jr. maybe gets that full $12 million this year instead of league minimum. They could make something work. If there's no picks involved, do it. If there is picks involved and Wiggins, basically I just wouldn't want to have both involved in the deal. Because how I see it right now, like they hit on Davion Mitchell, right? When you make those little moves, you got to bring those guys back and figure out some way to, ride momentum with good transactions. So Miami's in a weird situation. I think after this offseason, when we talk about them, I think it'll be probably one of the more interesting episodes